As we know, there is a lot of global network, for example, WHO or UNICEF. They have the innovation funding. So they are they are providing funding to those innovative ideas. So as young people, we are needed to find this opportunity. Possible and other things. We need to opportunity of funding because global organizations they need to fund, but they are lack people. They lack people to give them the fund because there are no young people who seek these opportunities. The opportunities are full available in internet and in our social medias. But as young people, we are not seeking for them. Instead, we're using our social media and internet in a bad way instead of using in a good way. But also, the another thing that can help young innovators to bring the ideas of innovation to promote health and to bring future is to build a strong partnership with other NGOs. For example, there are a lot of NGOs such as AMREF, for example, they are providing funding to the young people who are initiating a lot of programs that can bring positive health, but also such as World Bank. World Bank they provide some funding to the other NGOs which implement this project, and also they provide a platform that people can apply. They provide an application form for people to apply to send the project and also to apply funds. So if the project is have fulfilled all the achievements that they require, they give them funds. So these opportunities they are a lot of available, but as young people, we are not seeking for them. We are not using this opportunity for ourselves, and we are not ready to seeking it. But we are many young people. We are lazy. We don't want to seek new ideas or to wake up in the morning and to seek the new ideas and to think what I can do to help my community, what I can do to help myself, what I can do to help my future generation. And also as another thing that to finish this is to engage with policymakers because some policymakers, for example, in our local government, we can bring our problem to them, and also they are a part of our main government. They can include our policies and our and our and our advice that young people we need it to be implemented in the country policies, in the youth policies. So when we finding them and use them, our local, our local leaders well, I think we can bring this opportunity for many young innovators and us young people to get this opportunity of funding and also for mentorship. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Hanson. So before I let you go, I heard you mention something that youths are lazy. They do not actually want to take up roles. There are a lot of funding opportunities that are around. Probably, maybe they do not know how to write proposals, how to write funding opportunities. So how best can you practically advise the youths? What should youths go for? Should they go for certain apps, or maybe they should go for certain mentorship programs? Maybe you can recommend any that you have now. Since you're addressing this question, I don't know if you can further the question. Mr. Hassan?
Oh yes, my mic
Yes,
was one more.
okay.
Yes, thank you. For right now, there are some areas that we can find this such opportunities. For example, in many social media, for example, in Twitter, you can find an account which is called Youth Opportunities Desk. Yeah, this platform sharing a lot of opportunities that can be more valuable to us youth. For example, there are leadership programs that they share. Also, such leadership program as young people, we can get a knowledge on how to write proposal, on how to write a project and other issues. But also apart from this training and the leadership programs that are posted and shared on that account, but also there are some funding opportunities that are available to NGOs because there are some NGOs are needed to send a proposal and to be given a fund. So many NGOs, the OYOS NGOs, they don't use this opportunity. So for the first thing, I advise them to go to such kind of platform. For example, youth opportunity this on the Twitter platform for currently, which is called an X. They can get a lot of opportunities and that can be using them and to get some funding and other leadership programs. But also, I'm advising them to go to search on the UNICEF. There in UNICEF page, they are posting some opportunities that can fund for the program of yours. So by following on this page, they can be they can have a start to know what to start and where to get that such something like this where they can use them effectively and to get such kind of program. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope my delegates are satisfied with the question and with the answer. So if you're not satisfied, you can still ask in the chat. So I have 2 more questions to go. So any of the panelists can take up this one. So what strategies can prepare youths to lead future initiatives? What practical strategies can prepare youths to lead future initiatives? Any of the discussant can pick the question. I can still repeat the question if it's not clear. So what strategies can prepare youths to lead future health initiatives? Any of the discussant? Thank you.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Okay, so the question is, what strategies can prepare youths to lead future health initiatives? Any practical strategies that youths should start following now that will help prepare us for future initiatives? Thank you.
Can I come in?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon once again. Believe that
Okay, you can come in. I don't know if I am muted. Hello?
Uh, uh, I can answer that question for somehow.
Yes, go ahead and answer that question, Hassan. Jallo seems to be having some tech issues. Go ahead with your hand.
Okay. So the first thing that I think is to involving youth in policy development, services provision, and also on implementation. As young people, we are needed to take place on policy development. We should be involved in policy development. As you see, in many African countries, there is a lot of high position which are governed by older people. And if you see the part of or the percent of young people who are involved in such decision making organs is so low. So the first things we need to involve youth in policy making. We should start to initiate youth boards that will have the mandatory for them to provide advice and also to seek what they need so as to get the challenge to be solved. So the first thing is to involve youth in policy development, but also is to provide employment opportunities for youth, especially. For example, there are a lot of youth can be can be hired as health workers. For example, in community level, you can hire some youths. For example, in each village, you can hire even 5 young people as a health workers to provide education and to promote awareness to their fellows. Such opportunities they can make a lot of impact to the future generation as they can make impact to their fellow young people, and also they can provide a good mentorship to them, and also they can make them to be the youth who are who are who are they can make them as an icon for their fellow youth. And also I think another thing that I can advise for this is ask young people to have a an energy to advocate for our rights. We must stand for our rights. We must stand what we need so as to bring what we to bring that we want. Because young people we are facing many challenges, but we don't see how we can solve this challenge. So we must be a one thing. To need together, to be together, to share our knowledge and ideas as young people, to see how we can be the place where we want, and to be the young people who can bring positive changes in communities. As we know, we young people are the leaders of change, and we are the leaders of today and tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. So we are so grateful for this answers that you're giving us. Actually, as a youth, I'm also actually hearing and taking considerations into the recommendations that you're making for us. So thank you so much to my panelists. I advise that you may stay back for questions that will come later on after the keynote speech. I plead that you stay back, please, everyone. And now, do not actually let go of questions. If you have them, you can still drop them in the chat as we are having a keynote speech from one of the presenters. So you can have the questions coming as well. So right about now, can I have the emojis for the panelists? Please, let's just encourage them and let's just motivate them with emojis in the house. Advocates, youths in the house, let's just motivate our panelists. Thank you so much. And so I'll invite Natasha Welcome. She's an advisory board liaison, AWEC 2024, and senior consultant, ESL, adjacent professor, Metamorphosis Education Consultant, and she's from United States. So I'm welcoming Madam Natasha. Welcome. That's her son, her last name, welcome. Please, Madam Natasha, you're welcome to this station. Please, let's just welcome her as she gives us a keynote on our fourth session, Youth as Catalyst for Global Health. Thank you so much, Madam Natasha. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry that I couldn't get on before my time. I got on just for my time because of work constraints. So, of course, my name is Natasha Welcome. And yes, Welcome is actually my last name. So today I'll be talking to you about language diversity in global healthcare. Let me just share quickly. This is going to be quick, maybe much quicker than we thought. I have to get back. Give me a second. Oh. Okay, because the Zoom seemed to be blocking my stuff. Now I see. Okay, so let's go. Yes, my topic is language diversity in global healthcare. So let's go. I am a mom, a wife, Seems to be sticking again. Okay. So yes, so my entire life is actually engulfed with language diversity. As I mentioned before, I'm a mom, a wife, and this is my family right there. Here is me at United Nations Leadership Meeting, UNA USA. I'm a part of that, and I'm involved in language diversity in that aspect as well. I'm involved with SDG 4, making better education. And then this is me speaking at a teachers' conference. And this is about language diversity, helping teachers to meet the needs of their English language learner. And this is me here receiving an award for language diversity. So I'm all language diversity. And so today, that's what I'm going to bring to you as well. Language diversity in the healthcare, global healthcare. So this is a true story. I sat in a discussion once when a woman broke the silence, revealing to the room that her mother-in-law was mistakenly given a hysterectomy, and it was because of a language barrier. It was at that event that she shared about why there is need to bridge the gap in the healthcare arena. As I sat there, I realized that I have some expertise to avoid situations like this. This story and others fuel us at Metamorphosis Education Consultants to create more sessions like this. I didn't ask her where she was from or which country it happened, but when she said that, it blew the room open and everyone, the silence was shattered and everyone was left in awe. Just imagine someone having to give up their birthright just because of a language barrier. Effective healthcare hinges on the capacity to build communication, to bridge communication gaps and connect with patients from diverse linguistic and cultural backgrounds. I did a workshop yesterday, and as I mentioned, language and culture marry each other. Where there's language diversity, there is cultural diversity. So the healthcare system has to be able to bridge that gap if effective healthcare is to happen, right? We all would agree with that. But as such opportunities to cultivate cultural humility and enhance patient care, there are some barriers and there are some issues as we try to enhance patient care and to have cultural humility. So a studies was done by Shemsi et al. And Dockley et al. About language diversity and cultural diversity in the healthcare arena. Consider Maria, a Spanish-speaking patient who recently visited her local clinic for a routine checkup. Despite the best efforts of the medical staff, a language barrier persisted, leading to confusion about her treatment and plan and feeling of the studies, showing that patients with limited English proficiency are more likely to be on this side of the tape. So this is a study, as I mentioned, done by Shamsi et al., talking about identifying this patient called Maria. I know it's not her real name, and how she had a confusion with her medication just because of treatment confusion because of a language barrier. Now, I know several countries are represented here, and we all have our unique stories as it relates to this language barrier and what confusion it caused. Yesterday, I sent out a Mentimeter where I asked people to, if you were a healthcare provider, that you should fill out a specific part. And if you are a patient, you should fill out a specific part so that we can talk about stories that occur because of language barriers in the healthcare arena. You don't have to put your name. I'm going to put that later in the chat, and those of you who would still like to volunteer to do that, you can feel free to do that, okay? To address this critical issue, this keynote will explore the nuances of language acquisition, the importance of cultural humility, and the practical strategies for bridging language gaps in the global healthcare. Cultural understanding. Language has a strong cultural overtone, as we all know and as I mentioned before. Some cultures do not believe in for example, some cultures do not believe in questioning healthcare advisors or healthcare professionals. So where there's a language barrier, of course, there's a cultural barrier. And culture is much more than sombrero or the African food we eat or maybe African music. When people who do not understand the depths of culture, they think that, oh, that's culture. I went to Africa and I ate some African food. It was really good. And I wore African clothes. That's just the leaf part of culture. Culture has the leaf, it has the tree trunk, and then it has the root. The very root of culture are the things we talk about and the things we don't talk about. The things we laugh at, the things we don't laugh at, our beliefs about certain things. Like, for example, I just mentioned one, not questioning a healthcare provider, even though you have questions, but because the doctor says it, I'm not going to say anything. I have some questions about what the doctor said, but I'm not going to ask those questions. That's a cultural, deep-rooted situation there. Also, things like not saying, I don't understand something, you know, instead of saying, you know, to the doctor, explain this further to me. Some cultures, it's okay where people just, you know, accept something, but they don't necessarily understand, but they just accept it and behave as though they understand because it's a medical doctor and we don't question him. In the Hispanic culture, for certain, there's a nod of respect. When you see someone, a Hispanic person nodding their head, it doesn't mean that they understand. It means that they're respectful and they really appreciate what you're doing. I've taught South Korean kids who would never say that they don't understand something because they think it's rude to say that. Yesterday, we were delving into some of those after my presentation as well. So culture is very deeply, language is very deeply rooted in culture. So let's talk about language again, what it means to know a language. As I mentioned yesterday, a lot of times we think that someone knows a language. And in the healthcare centers, we would think that, oh, I'm going to have this person interpret because they know English. If I can say hello and hi in a language, it doesn't mean that I know that language. If I can talk about my school or my clothes in a particular language, it doesn't mean that I know that language. There are several aspects to a language. There's a phonological awareness of language, learning to understand how language works in terms of the phonics and how the sounds work to create words. There's syntactic awareness, how sentences are put together to make sense. So there's that. When you really get to know a language, it means you understand how to put a sentence together to make sense and the words don't go jumbled. If you think of your 2-year-old and how they learn language, first language acquisition is very similar to second language acquisition. It's not much different. When your 2-year-old learn to talk, they first use one word to express themselves, water, water. And then later on, you might hear them say, want water, want water. And then a little farther on, then they will actually be able to make a sentence. Can I have some water, please? So it's the same thing with people's second language acquisition. When you hear, those are some cues to know that people, that someone doesn't fully know a language. When you hear them saying those one-word things, that's a cue to know that, you know, this person still needs some help in this area. They're just saying a one word and trying to express themselves in that way, or saying short sentences or 2 words added together. Someone who knows a language at the idiomatic stage. In the United States, when we do testing for language screening, there are 6 stages. That's where we actually think that someone knows a language, when they have reached to the 6th stage. And at the idiomatic stage, it means that they can understand a joke in the language. They can express themselves in the language. They can give instructions in the language. They can talk about their feelings in that language. They can receive information in that language. And they can, you know, there's so much to to understanding a language. And again, yesterday I mentioned that the 4 different domains, they're listening, reading, writing, and speaking. There are 2 of those domains where people receive information. Listening and reading is where people receive the language. And then there are 2 output domains where people give out the language, speaking and writing. A lot of times though, somehow speaking tends to trump language development. When people hear you speak a language, they automatically think that you know all about it. But then if you can't read it, maybe someone can speak a language, but when you give them the prescription, they really can't read it. Or maybe they can speak it, but when you ask them to fill up the form, they can't write it. So all of those things, nuances we need to look at when we're talking about someone knowing a language. And so if someone doesn't know a language at what we call the idiomatic stage, like really in depth, then that person would need an interpreter who is a certified interpreter to be able to, help them through with that situation. Okay, so let's talk about cultural humility in healthcare. So the first thing is that when we're dealing with people from different cultures, sometimes because our culture or our language might be the predominant language, if we don't be very careful, we can show a sense of superiority to that patient or patients. We can show a sense of superiority as in, oh, this is, France and we speak French here. And if you don't know French, then you're inferior to us. So we have to be careful to show cultural and linguistic humility by showing the person that you might not fully understand them, but you're still ready to work with them. A doctor treating a patient from a culture where traditional medicine is highly valued may feel as though what the patient is trying to tell him doesn't have much value. For example, the patient may mention that he's using herbal remedies alongside prescribed medication. At that point, the doctor should be able to say to the patient, just to ask more questions about what he's saying. And even if the doctor doesn't believe in the herbal, whatever he's doing, to say it in a humble way. So that's like cultural humility and language humility, showing the person that you're humble and you're willing to learn more about them, things like that. So I'm going to go in quickly to some tips. Yesterday, we did a few of them. Some tips into helping people from different linguistic and cultural backgrounds. So number 1, practice active listening. Listen carefully. There are some words that are similar or the same in both languages. They are called cognates. And if you listen carefully to some language, you'll hear some cognates, and it would be very good for you to familiarize yourself with cognates. For example, I know a lot of them in Spanish. I know clase for classroom, supermercado for supermarket, so things like that. They're very close and they mean the same thing in both languages, and every language has cognates. So if you get into understanding cognates, you can Google them, you can AI them, whatever, find out what are the cognates. If you have patients in a specific, that speak specific languages, you can find cognates in those languages that you can help you understand a lot better. But also be very careful to look out for false cognates, because they are words that sound very similar, but they're so far in meaning. For example, in Spanish again, pie, which looks like pie in English, pie means foot. It's not anything close to pie. Embarazo sounds like embarrassing. It actually means pregnant. So they are false cognate. Look out for those as well. But those are things we need to practice. Active listening. Even if you don't fully understand, listen keenly. Show that empathy. Show that you're concerned with what the person is telling you, and validate the person's concern. You may have a patient who maybe not just totally doesn't know English or doesn't know your language, but maybe they know it at a certain stage, they're not fluent in it, but repeat what they're saying and ask questions. Go with them slowly, because you realize that there's a language barrier. Use basic phrases in local language. Always try to be very basic with people who are not familiar with your language. Be very basic, simple things, not don't go with the jargons and the whole medical jargons. Keep away from the medical jargons, or even if you use them and explain what they are after. You can say a word that is totally foreign to the patient, but you can say it and then explain in simple words what it is after. And if by chance you're using an interpreter, speak to the patient still. Don't speak to the interpreter. Do eye contact with the patient. Let the patient know that you're in this thing with them. Because if you speak to the interpreter and only showing eye contact to the interpreter, the patient is feeling left out and they're feeling distant. Who wants to feel distant when they're in their own medical, when they're actually having medical attention? Who wants to feel distant in their own medical meeting? Like, you know, so you want them to feel a part of what is happening, so speak to them. Leverage, well, I talked about that before, leverage professional interpreters. And there are several ways to leverage professional interpreters. You have to go slowly with interpreter as well. Let the interpreter know that it's okay to tell me you don't understand. Sometimes some interpreters want to feel totally, you know, in control, and they don't want to say plainly, you know, I don't understand this. So there's a two-way communication. There's a communication between the healthcare provider and the interpreter, and then the interpreter and the patient. So you have to make sure for communication not to be lost in those different places. You have to make sure that the interpreter understands what you say and let them know it's okay to ask questions. Make sure it's clear between you and them, and then let them tell it to the patient. And if the patient is asking a question, make sure that the interpreter needs to make sure that they're clear with the patient before asking back. So it's a lot of training that we do in that area. But to make sure that there's no communication lost, it's a slow process. And yes, many doctors in the United States have complained that, oh, you know, and people don't speak English. It's a long process, and it takes up the time. Like if we take 50 minutes to see a patient, sometimes we spend 25 minutes seeing that patient because they need an interpreter. Yes, it slows down the process. We all know that. Incorporate visual aids and technology. This always helps. Pictures always help with people who are struggling with a specific language. Pictures are always a great thing. Okay, so do visual aids, do videos, even if they don't understand the language, or you can do videos with, we call it subtitle in the language that is prevalent in your area. So you can use a subtitle. And then there's also, like if you go to a regular YouTube video, let's say you have your video on YouTube, there's a way to choose the auto generating language, and it can be chosen to that person's language. So those are all different ways you can use to, you know, bridge this language barrier. Engage in cross-cultural training. If you are a leader of an organization or a healthcare center, you owe it to your colleagues and you owe it to your subordinates to train them cross-culturally. If they should ever be cultural competence, you owe it to them to train them. I think I'm on my, have I stepped over my time? I'm not so sure, so.
Okay,
I'm
Madam,
gonna give-
we're in the concluding session. So,
Pardon?
yes, we're in a concluding period, so I'm sure you're almost concluding.
Okay, so I'm gonna say one more thing. So engage in cross-cultural training, advocate for linguistic accessibility. As we're talking about advocacy, even in this arena, how young people can advocate for linguistic accessibility as it relates to interpreters, as it relates to training and things like that. I want to wrap right up because I think I've passed that 50-minute mark. Thank you very much for listening. Those are the helpful tips. And please connect with me, and I'm going to put a free download in the chat. Please feel free to download it freely, and also please connect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Natasha. Indeed, that was very important. And actually, I've been caught off guard as a health practitioner. Many other times we overlook this thing. We actually assume to say our patients and clients know what we are talking about. And actually, I even encourage good work culture because it is our role and duty to further explain these things in the simplest terms so that people understand. And I know that each field has got its own language, and it is part of our duty to also explain and also don't just overlook these things. So thank you, Madam, for reminding us, and this session is indeed educative. So I know you're on a rush. Since we have
Yeah.
groups, people can still drop in their questions, and then we can attend to them later on. So
Yeah,
thank
I'm
you
gonna
very
put the
much for being with us.
Yeah, I'll put the Menti thing in the chat as well, and then I'm gonna put the giveaway. So guys, feel free. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Madam. So we can also network. You can just drop in your LinkedIn profile. Be connecting from here. So I'm wrapping up my session. You have been a good audience, and I'm so grateful for everyone that has participated in this session. I hope we are walking away with something. We are walking away, we've taken something, we've taken a note or something. And from this point forward, we are going to have a different kind of perspective, the way we address patients, the way we get innovative as youths. So thank you so much, and I welcome Madam Victoria to just conclude this session. Thank you so much, everyone, and continue being active. Thank you.
Great session, Natasha. In the chat, wonderful comments in the chat. I see a lot of people are saying great presentation. Thank you. Very relevant and vital topic. Yes, thank you so much, Madam Blessing. Excellent job at moderating. Tech team, can you go ahead and enable my video, please? You disabled everyone's video, including mine. Thank you. Okay, but yes, so just hopping over to the comments. Thank you so much, Madam Natasha. Truly being, having a background in healthcare myself, I can relate to some of those language and cultural barriers that you have brought up. And so it is a very, very relevant topic. And as youth, the overarching theme for this session was youth as catalyst for change. Therefore, we have to, youth should be encouraged to add their voices to their different health organizations, their governments, to say that, look, we need to make sure that these systems, proper systems, language and cultural and communication systems are in place so that we're not having these challenges in our healthcare facilities. So that's how youth can be a catalyst for change, because, as Natasha showed in her presentation, somebody lost their uterus. A hysterectomy means losing, a surgical procedure to remove the uterus. And clearly, there are a lot of legal implications there for, the persons who are there. But those, a hysterectomy is a long-lasting, irreversible. It's not something that can be reversed, unfortunately. So to experience such a healthcare tragedy due to mistakes, due to communication, then truly, these are conversations that young people need to be having and saying, hey, my health system needs to be able to mitigate such horrors from happening in the healthcare system. So that's how youth, as catalysts for change in the health system, can advocate to ensure that we have safer and more diverse cultural and language mechanisms in place. So great topic, Natasha, and we thank you so much for bringing that to this forum, because it is truly needed. Thank you so much also to the panelists. host. It's still saying that the host has disabled my video. Come on, tech team, let's get the videos going, including mine. I have a presentation in a few minutes, so we do want that video to be up. But the message I'm getting is you can't start your video because the host has stopped it. So we need to fix that quickly. But yes, in the meantime, I thank you, Madam Blossom, and the other panelists that were on earlier. You really shared some salient conversations as well. Boubacar Jallow, really appreciate your insight from that previous discussion. And also Asan M. Kima, thank you so much for your great perspectives. At this time, I'm going to invite the individuals on the next session, including myself. I see Miss Nicole, so I see Mr. Kim Albert, the moderator, is here. And we just need, as I said, something is going on with the videos where the host need to allow us to be able to share our videos. Yeah, everyone's videos off, including mine. No videos. You know, there's this common saying, life will be lifing and tech will fail when you need it the most. So I think we're kind of experiencing that this morning, you know, some internet and tech issues, but we're gonna continue and have a great session today as soon as we can figure out what's going on with the tech, with the videos. Let's go to a quick commercial break, literally. All right. I think, am I audible? Just show some thumbs up, some emojis if you're able to hear me at least. Yeah, you're able to hear me? All right, great. So, all right, we're gonna go to.
I'm gonna get funky. Funky. Everybody clap your hands. Clap, clap your hands. Clap, clap, clap your hands. All right, we're gonna do the basic steps. To the left. Take it back now, y'all. One hump this time. Right foot, left hump. Foot, let's jump. Watch out, real smooth. Turn it out. To the left. Back now, y'all. One hump this time. Right foot, left hump. Left foot, let's jump. Watch out now, y'all. Now it's time to get funky. Right now. To the left. Take it back now, y'all. One hump this time. One hump this time. Right foot, 2 stumps. Left foot, 2 stumps. Side to the left. Side to the right. Crisscross. Crisscross. Cha-cha, real smooth. Go to work. To the left. Take it back now, y'all. 2 humps this time. 2 humps this time. Right foot, 2 stumps. Left foot, 2 stumps. Hands on your knees. Hands on your knees. Watch out now, y'all. Turn it out. To the left. Back now, y'all. 5 hops this time. Right foot, let's stomp. Left foot, let's stomp. Right foot again. Left foot again. Right foot, let's stomp. Left foot, let's stomp. Freeze! Everybody clap your hands. goes down low, all the way to the floor. How low can you go? Bring your finger to the top. Nothing at the top. Bring it to the top. One hook. Right down. Left foot now, y'all. Watch out, real smooth. Turn it out. To the left. Get back now, y'all. One hump this time. One hump this time. Reverse. Reverse. Side to the left. Side to the right. Reverse, reverse. Reverse, reverse. That's how now, y'all. That's how again. That's how
Okay.
now, y'all. That's how again.
Other than
Turn it out. To the left. Get back now, y'all. Two humps, two humps.
actually,
Two humps, two humps. Right foot,
this
left
is where
foot.
the floating voted.
Left foot, left foot.
Everything
Down.
that-
Coming out now. Side to the right. Side to the left.
But
Get back now, y'all. That's how now, y'all.
okay, thank you. Nakuwa ni-
So Albert, try to check if you're a co-host now.
No, I'm still not.
Madam, do you hear me, please? Hello? Could you please give us information when the presentation is going to start?
Yes, we are
Okay,
in
so
the presentation and we are trying to resolve a technical glitch. So
Okay,
thank you.
ma'am. Okay, sorry. Good luck.
Yes, thank you. We're working on resolving the tech glitch. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, brother, some technical issues are there and soon it will be solved. Please keep it up.
Okay, here we go. Finally. All right. All right, thank you everyone for your patience. Life happens and things will always, there's somebody's law, I think Murphy's law, that says if anything can go wrong, it will go wrong at the hour that you least want it to go to happen. So, but we're here and thank you so much for joining us, and we are going to jump right into the next session. So yes, the tech glitch, we finally figured it out, and we'll still make time. All right, great. So our host or moderator for the session is here, Mr. King Albert. go ahead and yes, you're unmuted and you can lead us into this next session. Thank you so much to everyone who hung with us. You know, you have to have your ride or die people. Go ahead, show some love, show some emojis, send some celebrations up. Young and young at heart, full of vim, vigor, and vitality. Yes, yes. This is how you navigate through challenges and overcome obstacles. Believe me when I say it will happen. You know, life happens. Life will always be lifing. So just to ensure that we don't have any more cutouts, let's just go ahead and make all the panelists. I've seen some of them already on the call here. Miss Nicole Wilson or Chambers is here. McIntosh, sorry. Let me see what your name is on the call. Just go ahead and make everyone co-host, or so that, you know, we have a little